6:30 to around 7:20 to interview some potential volunteers. Emergency services.
All right, Tinicum Township Police Department recorded 167 incident reports for the month of January. 66 were for service, 32 were for crime or investigative, including 3 fraud reports, 2 thefts, 1 simple assault arrest, and 1 DUI arrest. 57 were for traffic, 5 were for training, and 7 were for court. We had 6 reportable traffic accidents in January. 2 were single vehicle weather-related crashes. We had a single vehicle crash on River Road, which was due to distracted driving. 2 vehicle accident on Easton Road was caused by an improper turn. 2 vehicle accident on River Road is still under investigation. And we had a fatal vehicle versus pedestrian crash on Easton Road, which is still under investigation. Our average for January over the last 5 years is 4.2 recordable crashes.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank
you. All right, moving on to old business. Headquarters bridge update. So we do have a slight update on the headquarters bridge situation. We have received, our engineers received some additional bridge information from additional bridge vendors that is, at least on the surface, seems to be a little bit more suitable as a temporary solution, as they are made for the span that we're looking for and actual vehicle traffic, opposed to the one bridge we had from a company previously, which was the span and the weight limit, but it was meant for more pedestrian traffic. So we have that off to the engineers that are looking at it, and they are investigating more of the design criteria based on those new potential bridge structures. So hopefully by the next meeting, or hopefully sometime in March, we'll have a little bit more of a detailed update with some better information, but we're continuing to move forward. Earth Day Festival participant list. I guess this was.
Well, under headquarters road, what about authorizing me to write the letter to the?
I was going to put that under new business afterward.
Yeah, but then you've got to amend the agenda.
Yes.
Here it's headquarters road.
Okay.
Update. That's a headquarters road item.
All right. Well, if we want to do that. Well, I guess we'll do it. We'll do 2 ways. So we have. I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to both include discussion of a letter back to Brian Fitzpatrick's office, who has wrote us a letter about potential grant opportunities for the headquarters road bridge, and also for discussion on advertising for a secretary position for the PC. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Just to clarify, sir, we did not receive a letter from Brian Fitzpatrick's office. So there's a discussion about his support.
To respond, for us to respond in a letter to him. All in favor? Aye. All right, so we will go back to headquarters bridge update, and Steve, I guess we'll let.
Well, I got a telephone call followed by an email from the
Steve, Mike.
Nobody wants to hear my voice. I got a telephone call followed by an email from the attorney for the Riverkeeper, who said that Brian Fitzpatrick has agreed to present a grant application for the rehabilitation of the headquarters road bridge, and they're looking for a letter of support. And so the request is to authorize me to write a letter at their request, supporting the request for a grant.
That sounds like a great opportunity. I will make a motion for Steve to write back a letter saying that we are in favor of that opportunity. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Anita Nolan, resident, Hill person. I'm just want to make sure that this is thought through and that this is not like letter is not going to be implying that we're throwing our weight behind the rehabilitation theory, that could occur. That it's a neutral letter saying, yes, we would be interested in getting grant money for the temporary bridge or whatever, but that it's not, yeah, we want to rehab this bridge because that's what or we want a one-lane bridge or whatever. I think we're neutral on it, at least that's
Yeah,
my
so
understanding.
So the
So-
intention of this letter is the office had reached out to us saying that there's the potential for Brian
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick's
The
office.
Fitzpatrick office or the Riverkeeper office?
The Riverkeeper reached out to us and said there's a potential for the Brian Fitzpatrick's office to support putting up the project in a grant. And obviously this board, I believe, would be in favor of that. If that were to come to fruition and that was the quickest way for us to get this bridge up, we would all be in favor of it. We did clarify with Steve that this submission of the grant does not have to be predicated on us owning the bridge yet. So again, we will be putting a letter together stating that, yes, we would like you to submit the grant in our, for this, but obviously we will be putting that, we would only be accepting the bridge if the money were to be granted and we knew the project could move forward.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of sending a letter?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to Earth Day Festival participant list. We had a discussion at the last meeting about the Earth Day Festival that the EAC and the Park and Rec Commission is going to be putting on, and there was the potential to have a couple vendors be part of this. And there was a request from the board to review the potential vendor list to make sure that everyone's okay with, whoever was coming out. I believe that list has been sent by email to the supervisors. Based on that email list, does anyone have any issues with any of the vendors that were listed?
I don't.
I don't have any issues, but I'm wondering if we want to. I don't have any issues with any of the ones already on the list, but I'm wondering if we might want to add the LPC and the Conservancy. And I'm kind of going off the top of my head that they aren't already on the list.
Yeah, I guess I'll put it this way. Anything that's related to the township, I think we're all okay with. I think it's sort of outside vendors will put it as what we're granting permission for. So based on the outside vendors in the email list,
I'll make a motion to approve the list.
all right, I'll second it. All in favor, unless there's a discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I guess just based on old business, I understand we had the Bluebird presentation at the township meeting. I understand it was a success. I don't exactly know how many people showed up.
Diane Allison is here, and she is the wonderful volunteer that ran it.
Thank you very much. It sounds like, yeah.
I think we had around 35 people. And
Yeah, come up, because then the people on Zoom could hear you talk.
I think we had 35 people and it was about a little over an hour presentation. Everyone seemed to enjoy it and there were lots of real good questions afterwards. So we had a good time, I think.
All right. Well, thank you very much for putting that on.
Thank you.
That's so great. Thank you.
All right, on to new business, volunteer board appointments. So we had 2 interviews and our executive prior to the meeting. And I guess I will make a motion to appoint Ed Bassford to the Parks and Rec Committee.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We also had Dan Ullman come in looking to be on the LPC. I will make a motion to appoint Dan to be part of the LPC. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? See none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The Borough of Dublin requests for any fire police personnel for traffic control duties at the Dublin Community Day Saturday, June 3rd, 2023 from 2:30 to 7. I will make a motion for any available fire police to attend and help. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bucks County Memorandum of Understanding, the co-responder team for social services. Terry or Chief, I guess maybe you guys could explain this a little bit more.
So the county is funding, they have a grant for 2 years for co-responders for, I think there's 9 police departments in Upper Bucks County. And they would assist the police department with different things, mental health issues, if there were issues, elderly issues that we needed help with, homeless. So we're still figuring everything out, but they've, have this for 2 years for a grant for us to try out, at least for now.
So, after the 2-year trial period, they'll give you more information on what those costs will be going forward if we intend on keeping that?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, and
Okay.
we'll have a way to get out of it if we decide
So
not
it's an
to stick with it.
experimental thing to see how it works and everything.
Correct.
Thank you.
So what you need is a motion for you to authorize, Nicole and I to sign on that.
All right, I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The 2023 Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic Grant, authorizations to sign the memorandum of understanding. All right. And this is for the mini grant. And we got awarded the community park wetlands enhancement. And we've got funding awards of $3,579.80. I guess Eleanor, you want to give a little bit more of a history behind it?
Sure. So this is a Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic mini grant that the township applied for at the end of last year. And the purpose of the project proposal was to enhance the existing wetland area in the Tinicum Township Community Park and to plant a native wetland buffer around that park. Around that wetland area. It would also involve kind of improvements in terms of the removal of any artificial material that is in the park. So the telephone poles that you might see around the perimeter, the northern perimeter and kind of the eastern perimeter. So they would come down, as would the netting that's kind of hanging in between them. So we're excited about this. The township leading this project will be led by the EAC and the Park and Rec, and we are collaborating with Kind Earth Growers, which is a local business, and we're just excited about this improvement for the park.
All right, so Terry, we need to authorize you to sign for the grant.
I believe on that one, I believe you're gonna, you can authorize me, but I believe it's going to be your approval on signatures. I believe Eleanor and I are both gonna sign it.
Okay.
But it'd be nice if you authorize me, so I can just take care of the paperwork.
Okay. I'll make a motion to authorize Terry to take care of the paperwork for the Wild and Scenic grant.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, on to number 5, Smithtown Road, which I guess I really wanted to be more of a discussion of truck route, because I know we had some recent issues with truck that ended up on Smithtown Road, I believe, in the middle of the week, a large truck. And I guess one of the thoughts that I had, and we've sort of touched on various ideas of this in the past, but instead of declaring roads not trucks, or limiting trucks to certain roads, is there a way, Steve, I guess this is more towards you, and this would be sort of related to signage, of declaring specific roads a truck route in Tinicum, more than they currently are, I guess? yes, like declaring official truck routes through the township from point A to point B, which I guess would be more from 611 to 32.
Yeah, I know of no authorization to designate a truck route other than by undesignating roads for a truck.
Okay, so so we can't necessarily say that all roads except, but I guess we sort of are in that. If we did that, does every road then have to have some type of signage that says, no trucks, blah, blah, blah?
Has to be a study and signage.
Okay, so that's not necessarily feasible in reality to do that to every road. That was just one of the ideas of trying to make, something more clear. I guess, a lot of our roads are sort of not that way for trucks. They're not necessarily a truck route, nor do I think that trucks take them for, shortcuts. I think they get stuck and lost a lot of times. I know, Nicole, we've had some success with at least River Road, seeing a little bit in reduction in truck traffic on 32 once we got in touch with the GPS provider. So there are, if we've had any roads that have been particular issues with trucks getting stuck, maybe that's, an update that we could try to make sure that they're not on those roads. Or just confirm that they're not, because I guess 32 was, for a specific size.
They were not aware of the restrictions.
Okay. So maybe that's something we could do on at least our dirt roads, just to confirm that those roads are not, on there as something they shouldn't be. I don't know if anyone else feels that's appropriate.
I don't know of many dirt roads that big trucks are gonna wanna go down,
Yeah,
but,
I usually the view of the road,
pretty much
it makes the
they realize
hesitancy.
it. I think somebody's got their hand up.
Yeah,
Luke Sorensen, resident. Oh, Anita, pen. Anita? You see one name. Take a look at, Act 31 of 2018. It waived the requirements for a study to be conducted by a traffic engineer for posting specifically local roads. Again, it's kind of similar to what we saw with the speed studies and things. It's just overly burdensome on the townships to have to hire professional engineers and have them go out. So Act 31 overturned that, and now municipal staff or designee can act to conduct that study. There's a form that PennDOT has that you can document that on. So it's really a less cumbersome process now than it used to be. I think Steve's right that it used to be that an engineer had to do a formal study and all that. So it is much, it should be an easier process if we do need to do that for specific roads. So look at that. There's also an LTAP bulletin that outlines, I can send it to you guys as well, that outlines some of the changes that it was just in 2018. So
did it have anything? I guess the challenge, based on what Steve had said, the secondary challenge would be the signage. I guess there's probably no unrestriction of labeling, which
gotta have an ordinance, gotta have a sign.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we do have an awful lot of
Yeah.
roads. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that would be an awful lot of signs. And Doug, just as a rough idea, what, like one sign, like one speed limit sign, what was that usually run us to?
There's one, this particular for no trucks and, except local delivery, an explanation sign underneath it. Each sign is like $35, post is roughly, I believe around 12. And then plus the labor, I'll put just the one sign in. We have 22 dirt roads altogether. We have 44 times the map. And I think if I rough it up, I believe it's over $17,000 to sign up all the dirt roads. That's where this issue initially began. The signs that we had out there were beyond the eligibility reading reflected.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I don't think Luke was talking about only dirt roads. I think he was talking about all roads, all local roads.
yeah, in general.
So now
Yeah.
you're talking about exponentially increasing that 17,000.
Yeah.
You already have many of them.
I have taken the LTAP class, but it's done to be authorized.
But if
Well-
we go back to the road and the issue that brought this onto the agenda. It was a tractor trailer on Smithtown Road that was making a right-hand turn from Smithtown onto 32 South.
Yeah, the guy got stuck.
He got stuck, but kind of on a blind
So,
curve.
so what happened? Did the police go out there and direct them and get it all straightened out? What happened?
We were not called at the time.
I'm confused.
I just said we were not called at the time.
Yeah, I guess the only reason why this was on here, because when we heard about this issue, it's been something we've been talking about to see if there's potentially any way if we could designate a truck route to get maybe something on a GPS that would give,
I agree.
less of a chance for people to get lost, I guess.
Yeah, but you're still gonna have that.
Oh, you're
You're
not
be able
yeah.
to regulate stupid and somebody's gonna go down that road,
Yeah.
they're gonna go down
Yeah.
that road. But if it's happening like every other day or once a week or once every 2 weeks, that's one thing, but how often is this happening? Are you aware? Sorry, Nicole, I mean, you're the only one I can ask on this.
For Smithtown in particular, I looked back the last 10 years, we've never had another report of a tractor trailer on that road.
So Doug, we have 22 dirt roads. So we're talking about 44 signs. Okay, and the no truck sign is $35.
There's three on,
Okay, times, and then did you say the post was $12?
12 to 15.
Dollars. Okay.
It would have to be at every intersection.
Yes,
It may be 22 roads, but you would have to have the signs at every intersection so that somebody didn't turn one. I assume there are crossroads on some of these dirt roads.
Do you have an idea of how many crossroads? I know it's probably not off the top of your head, but maybe you do.
No,
Okay.
I had looked at one before, like I said, back when this issue came up, we were looking at like 40 signs.
Sorry, Doug, would you mind coming to the mic?
When this issue had come up once before, like say, when we initially started this with the replacement of the signs that we currently have and the ordinance that we had, we were looking at approximately 40 points of where we would need the signs. And that's a ballpark. I believe I had like 5 or 6 spares in there to put in stock because they always get stolen, run over, whatever that way. The issue I have with the signs and why I even, with the ordinance and such, this tractor and trailer that initiated this talk, it turned off of Cafferty Road onto the dirt section of Smithtown. Even currently today, the no truck sign, the weight signs, the 1 lane 5-ton bridge sign is all at that intersection that he turned on to. So it didn't stop him, and like I say, with the quantity or the amount of money or whatever that would be needed to be spent on those signs, I'm not sure that that'd be a help.
Did you say that it would cost $17,000 to put signs
Just to
up?
do those 22 signs that are the 2 together, correct?
Yeah, I think ultimately this goes back to the discussion of what was the ordinance number? The ordinance that was on the dirt roads for the restrictions of the winter months from certain widths and weights, which again was done at a time back when those roads were in a different condition, and it was for the intention of trying to keep the roads from getting bad quickly in between the times that the road crew was out there grading. And we've had since have upgraded all the dirt roads with a bunch of grants that we've gotten over the years. But the biggest culprit from, the weather standpoint, I think I've sent this in a couple of emails, is that we do have multiple garbage truck hauling companies, and we have, multiple garbage trucks, which are the heaviest, biggest vehicles that are typically on those roads, multiple times a week. And so they degrade the condition of the roads, and we can't stop them from going down there because obviously people need to get their trash removed. We had brought up, or I believe Rich had brought up at one point, potentially starting a discussion of, maybe the township would be, interested in trying to sub out that work, so that it would be part of a township service. And so then the township would bid and have one service that provides that service for the entirety of township, and would eliminate, the multiple vehicles going down any one road who, anyone on that road could be using a multitude of companies, and you could get, 4 different trucks running down that road. So that was a discussion we have brought up potentially.
Well, that was for garbage, primarily for garbage.
Yes, exactly. But that ordinance really also never got enforced. We never had any really complaints about it, because the other part about it is that, this truck might have got lost in Smithtown, but if they were making a legitimate delivery to somebody, we also can't, stop deliveries from happening to residents on, some of those roads that are restricted. Now, if they were to go over a bridge or something like that and damage it, they would be, held liable if we could catch them. But we obviously don't have the ability to tell people that they can't get stuff delivered with certain trucks. I think probably more of our problem is that we probably have an uptick in Amazon, UPS, FedEx, the big box trucks delivering stuff multiple days, because most people are now shopping online, and there's not a whole lot we can do for that, because again, everyone needs to get their things. And all we could do is, maybe take my things I order all week and send them in one shipment, opposed to getting everything every day, or shop local.
I think mostly the Amazons and UPSs and those, they're kind of lightweight trucks anyway. We're really talking about the oil deliveries, the garbage trucks, some of the construction trucks that come to do work on a particular home that's on a dirt road or something like that. So it's kind of hard to regulate that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and Steve, and this is more just for maybe an educational purpose. In places that do have like specific truck routes, where you see the signs that say truck route, this way, that way, and this way, specific roads. How is that? How do they get designated in that fashion? Like from a point A to point B?
Most of those are situations where it's a limited access highway. And so they say the truck traffic has got to go this way because it's off, because that is limited.
Could I ask this, Steve? I realize that there is a law that says if you're gonna limit trucks on a particular road, you gotta do signage and everything else like that. But is there anything that prevents us from, in certain areas, putting up a sign to say trucks this way? Is there a law that says you can't do that? We don't enforce much of it anyway, so you're not enforcing that, but you may be giving them a heads up of which way they should go.
But I think they have to be PennDOT approved signs, even on a local road.
So why would PennDOT, you think PennDOT would object to that? Even
There's a big manual of what signs have been approved. There may be a sign that says just what you said that's already been approved.
It's just a truck route.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, of course, it sounds to me like you had every sign conceivable at the place where the truck driver turned.
But you can't do anything about that. I mean, somebody's going to do that. Look, could we look into that, Steve? Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
Because we do have generally if the bridge ever gets replaced, we would have, sort of 4 main arteries to go from 611 to River Road. That's, appropriate for larger vehicles in the township. We currently have 3-ish.
Catherine Auerbach, Center Road. I know years ago, and I maybe still, there are signs posted entering the township saying, welcome to Tinicum Township, a zoned community, or something like that. Is it possible for the roads entering into the township to have a sign posted with, some kind of alert that many of the smaller roads are not suitable for trucks or something like that, to kind of alert, people coming, entering. I know it sounds stupid, but it's sort of like you're at least saying, hello,
I
don't think you can go anywhere in the township,
I get the idea, but unfortunately, I think, we have very specific, large, very visible signs on Smithtown. And, that, again, if someone, you can't stop.
I live on a tiny road, and I can't tell you how many times, luckily I'm looking out the window and I see a very large truck coming up, and I have lines going across that they can encounter. I've had to stop, major vehicles and say, "Look, you can't go any further, you'll break the lines or you'll do this." So it's a problem, but the other thing is working with the GPS system, because many drivers use that now, to see if there's a way to integrate or have,
Yep.
a color-coded map that says,
Yeah, we have found
better
there
or
are,
less.
and is John here? Yeah, John's here. John might be able to elaborate a little bit more than this, but there is, from doing this, there is supposed to be a specific truck GPS for if you're driving a vehicle of a certain size. Commercially, it gives you routes that are, deemed, available for your size vehicle and weights and whatnot. And then there's normal GPS that everyone uses, and not every commercial-esque driver is using the appropriate GPS, which potentially is what might get them in trouble.
But is that something that the township works to integrate information into? both
Yeah,
of
for
those
the
systems or
GP for
not?
the truck GPS stuff, we did find out a company, a service provider, and we did update them on some of the roads, specifically River Road, that I guess was not, did not show the limitations that are actually on that road, which is why we had a lot of vehicles getting stuck at the bridge at the Golden Pheasant, and that's helped some, obviously not all, because we're
Is-
still
is
having
there
that
a-
issue, but.
Excuse me, Jim, is there a way to notify that GPS service that some of our other roads are also off limits for trucks? I mean, is it site specific or road specific? So you have to identify all of the roads?
Yeah, you'd have to go in and do it for each road.
So would that be something we could do?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? I think that's a good
It's better
start.
than nothing.
Yeah,
Start with the dirt road.
well, start with our local roads.
The dirt road. Well, we have to start somewhere. We have
Yeah.
an awful lot of
Yeah,
roads,
that's fine.
so
Yeah,
would
I
you
mean,
like us to start? Question.
Start the process, whether you do it park roads, other local roads. I don't think I have a preference. But I think it starts something, and at least it gives those drivers some heads up with that GPS system that they use, hopefully they use. Maybe let's see how that's working out. What do you think, guys?
yeah, it's at least something. I mean, again, if there are appropriate companies using appropriate gear, then that should point them in the right direction. I guess what Rick had his hand up for a little bit, and then we'll get to you, Vlad.
Richard Lucas, 421 River Road. First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving this real consideration. It is a problem. I own the majority of property on both sides of Smithtown Road. And as you know, I just did a conservation easement to the township, donating all the property. And from my vantage point, I'm able to see the increase in trucks, Amazon, FedEx, tractor trailers going up and down that road. And when you originally did 185, Matt, it's still on the website, which I probably should be taking down, but it says, Ordinance 185 was established to protect these roads by establishing width and weight restrictions. And Richard, truly, if we're able to follow up on that idea of, I think at the end of Smithtown Road, there's probably 6, 7 signs there. And it's a real eyesore, and I agree. I don't want to see any more signs that go up in this township. We love this township, we've seen it. If it is possible of strategically placing signs like no trucks, wherever it would be, that would be so helpful on Smithtown Road. It's a beautiful road. It's probably one of our most beautiful roads in the township. To see these massive tractor trailers. I've been on that road. I've lived there like 32 years now. And over the years, there are, I can probably count on one hand, the number of times where I've gotten stuck in the middle of Smithtown Road because there's either an ambulance or a freight truck coming down, and you literally have to back off the road going down. And every time I do it, I am so frightened about going into the steep slope into the creek. In fact, one winter, I think Doug was there, we had to pull a car out because it had gone off the road from the ice. So anything you can do, truly through GPS, through perhaps working with Don there at PennDOT, and Don's been very helpful to us, as Terry knows, over the years, really helpful. I'm sure if we give a call to him and say, Don, is it possible to get a sign placed, if you need to go through approval process for doing that, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I think you all saw that video. It's horrendous. It really is horrendous.
It would have been helpful though, if it was, the police were aware of it, so they could have gone down there and maybe talked to the driver.
Yeah.
Find
you
out
know,
why
I-
he did it, maybe cite him if that's possible.
You're right, Richard. I was in my car and I was going down and I was so taken back by what I saw
You should.
actually. But I certainly can. And you know, my other homeowners there on the road too, Richard and Daniel and you know, Bob there, have all witnessed this going down that road. But please don't lose sight of this. It's really important issue for safety and also just for the aesthetic reasons. It's a beautiful road, and seeing these roads, I don't even know how, quite frankly, the road handled that kind of weight. I'm surprised the road didn't crush into the creek. That's a massive, massive truck that came down the road.
I saw the video.
Yeah, it's good.
Um,
But thank you again. I
We have a
appreciate
couple
that.
of ideas here. Let's see how these things
That would
start
be
to
great.
work out,
That'd be
okay?
great. Good, thanks.
You're welcome.
Vladimir Salomon. I was just wondering now, from what I understand, I didn't know anything about this incident prior to this moment, but Doug says that there was clear signage and this guy violated whatever signs were there. If we have the identity of the trucking company, can't they be cited, you know? And maybe if some of these guys were cited for this, that would limit the amount of people that, you know, that are doing this.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, Chief, you might be able to answer that. With regards to video evidence of something of that nature, is there any ability to find a company after the fact?
Well, there was no identifying information on that truck. We couldn't get the company tag or anything off of it.
I guess to your point, Vlad, I'm pretty sure after he made it down to the end and then had to make a turn onto 32, he'll never do that again.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I recall what it was back when the headquarters road bridge was initially damaged by a truck that was there. And I took down the information on the truck and called the township to see if there was any follow-up that they should be responsible for repairs to the bridge. And as far as I know, nothing ever happened. So that was long before you were here, Nick. I think,
When there is a truck of that size going on to River Road, question, when there is a truck of that size going over a bridge, for instance, can the township issue a ticket of some sort to the driver?
Is there a specific one you're speaking of?
Well, I'm saying when there is an oversized truck, I mean, because I've seen it 4 or 5 times now, like either coming over the Golden Pheasant Bridge there, you know, where they get jammed and they ruin the railing and traffic's backed up. Are we able, if you're called, to come out independent of what the driver might tell you, I got lost and everything, are you able to issue a ticket?
Right now, there's no signage in our township for the restriction, and there's no weight limit on that bridge. So until we have signage in our township, I think it would be hard to cite them.
Which we are working on, by the way.
Well,
Yes.
the weight limit is an issue with the Golden Pheasant Bridge that they're gonna be talking about. So that's one of the things that maybe should be considered, a weight limit on that,
But in the
depending on what
instance-
the alignment's gonna be
Right.
on this.
But in the instance of Smithtown Road, had I called you or someone had called you and you come out to see their, would you have been able to issue the ticket then?
Well, it's my understanding now that that ordinance is not valid. So even though the signs are there,
You still would not have been
No,
able
no,
to-
no, no. The weight limit was exceeding the
bridge.
5-ton. There was a bridge there.
oh.
So
okay.
you could have been, you should have been able to cite him for
We could have
excessive
somebody
weight.
come out and weigh them.
Correct.
So I'm talking about the Smithtown Road
Right.
situation. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And Chief, on the signage for the Golden Pheasant Bridge, we are waiting for PennDOT to put that up.
We have sent several requests asking for updates
mean,
on the signage.
This was months and months
We
ago.
have not
Yes.
forgotten about it.
Okay.
Gotta call Don,
Well, yeah.
right?
That's who we've been reminding and what he told us, there's a work order
He
out.
said he's
Should be
put the order in.
anytime now.
At River Road and Tinicum Creek Road, it's just in the ditch, the crop sign.
It's a,
Probably got hit by
Yeah.
a truck.
That's not the signage, excuse me, that's not the signage that Nicole and I had requested. I don't know if we're going way back from when we started this, but we wanted signage where it still allowed an area that a big enough truck could turn around.
Yeah.
Instead of having people, we can't just have signs down there where no one can turn around and then they're back out of there, right? So we wanted them up at the Giving Pond and maybe Tinicum. We had sent Don, he agreed. He put out the work order, but we've been following up on it and they're behind and there's not much we can do but continue to follow up on it, Nicole and I.
But we will follow up on that. If there's
But we
potentially,
will
if,
do it again,
if
yeah.
there's a sign on Tinicum Creek Road and 32 that's down.
Yeah.
We'll just verify that and we'll make PennDOT aware.
But we have to do everything we can. I'm gonna say right now, let's just get my advocacy point a little bit. So we have to do everything we possibly can to be able to enable the police chief to be able to get tickets, is working through Don. And we can get a petition going. In fact, I have a call into Don today over some issues. In Center Bridge, they have the red, the orange reflector around the speed signs, which really helps in terms of limiting the speed limit. And I've been asking him to try to be able to do that on the 25-mile-an-hour on River Road. And police chief, we understood that you were out this week, parked there, and I don't know whether you were doing speed control there, but that was greatly appreciated. And once again, you can use my driveway whenever you need to use my driveway to be able to help with the speeding going on there, because it really is excessive what's happening there. You know, if the three of you on behalf of the township were to write to Don, to PennDOT, and certainly to copy the Secretary of Transportation, which always helps, I think that will get attention.
They've already agreed to what we've come up with. So
Mhm.
it's just the implementation of the already agreed upon signs.
So we're like, what, 6 months out or 9 months out? Well, that kind of a letter would certainly, you know, help
We're squeaky wheeling it.
to go through, you know, helping that.
Do they ever give us signs to put up on state roads when they know when they know and have approved where the signs are going to go? Like, is it an issue where they don't have the manpower to install the signs?
They have major issues with manpower right now. And I think we even met with them a while ago and they used to have 4 crews. They have 1 crew doing 4 townships. So they're putting out work orders for not only us, but the other county areas and not townships. I'm sorry, counties. And so they're behind. So we keep reminding. But you know, I don't think that they're specifically ignoring us. I think they're behind.
I'm not suggesting that, but I'm wondering if they could just give us the signs and then Doug's department could install them.
We can certainly offer that if, wait, before we do that, Doug, are you okay? Mhm. Good idea.
See if that's an option. All right. All right, moving on to PMRS, resolution uniform plan.
So. This is standard PMRS requirements and in 2022 and for 2023, our need for the minimum municipal obligation was 3%. The resolution that they're asking that we sign is just to state that in writing because it can be anywhere from 0 to 5%. So the resolution is just about the 3% for 2022 and 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 020723.01. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have some announcements. The Tinicum Conservancy Amphibian Crossing. I guess Terry, Eleanor, you know any more information on that?
Sure. So, we did this last year and, we wanted to make the announcement again this year. Since Tinicum is dedicated to preserving its natural resources, every year beginning in mid-March, spotted salamanders, wood frogs, and spring peepers migrate from winter burrows to their ancestral pools to breed. The Tinicum Conservancy is looking for volunteers to help these amphibians safely cross Perry Auger Road. More information can be found on the Conservancy's website, www.tinicumconservancy.org.
All right, and then going on to Earth Day, I'm assuming that is related to our Earth Day event.
It is. So our next announcement is in connection with the Earth Day Fair. The Environmental Advisory Committee is in the initial stages of putting together an Earth Day festival or fair at the Tinicum Community Park, which is the park behind Cooper Mechanical off of 611. The event will be held on Earth Day, April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And if you would like to be a part of things and help out, please contact the event organizer and EAC member, Cindy Gaspare, at eac@tinicumbucks.org.
All right. Moving on to our amended item, the advertisement for a secretary for PC. So I guess I'll make a motion to advertise for the position of the PC secretary. That will, the intention would be to have them go to a couple meetings, learn the ongoings, and then potentially transition into a meeting minutes being written off of a recording that would be done during the meeting.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Steve, in this, do we need to include the rate of pay? Okay.
All right, a rate of pay of $16 an hour. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On to regular business. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 9th, which was tabled last meeting, and January 17th as written?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Any comments?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The treasurer's report and budget recap is not due at this meeting. They'll be available at the next meeting. Payroll report. I'll make a motion to approve the payroll report for January 27th, 2023 in the amount of $35,785.04.
85 or 89?
89. Did I say 84? Through 35,789.04.
You made the motion?
Made the motion.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Take a couple minutes to look at the disbursements.
Terry, on the disbursements with the light, traffic light, is there a reimbursement going to be for that? For the truck?
That bill is not for that. I haven't received that bill yet.
What is this for?
That bill is for the electrical problem we had, was that 2 months ago or so? And the electrical problem and the inspection of the light.
Oh, okay.
That
Thank
was,
you.
that's not for,
That's not the damage. part.
yes,
Okay.
yes, we
Thank you.
haven't received that bill yet.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve as written. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nothing scheduled for the zoning hearing at this point. Subdivision and land development. We have the land development of Trenton, conditional use of Trenton are scheduled for the Board of Supervisors will be reviewing this. It is currently scheduled for March 21st, 2023. This was recently given a extension of time as the PC is still waiting on some additional information from their original review, which found that to be somewhat incomplete. So that is getting pushed a little bit. Now on to public comment. Do we have any open public comments? from the public? Seeing them?
Hold on.
Nope, we have one? Oh.
Yes, hi, I'm John Kelly. I'm with my wife Kelly. We're at Rolling Hills Development. And we were here 2 weeks ago and had some questions on our homeowners association. So Terry, thank you very much for bringing out the site map there. So that was great. Steve, we received your response. So thank you for that. One thing we wanted to know is if we could make that response from Steve, if we could make that part of the minutes. Is that possible?
I don't know, we typically haven't.
Normally, we don't do that, but it's up to the board. That's fine.
Okay. All right, great. We did have a couple more questions. One is the open space is still under the Hankin Trust. That's what we saw in the file over there. So we're not quite sure. So Rolling Hills doesn't own it. So we're not quite sure, Steve, if, going forward, that he's going to take care of that property. Is there anything written about that?
I think it's the bylaws that define the open space as land that's going to be dedicated to the homeowners association. So ultimately it would be the responsibility of the homeowners association.
Okay. Kelly, do you have anything to add? No? Okay. Also in, Steve, in response to your letter, there were some trees that were in the swales. We determined in your letter that it's the responsibility of the homeowner. So it is really difficult to see, and we think it's a traffic safety issue. We wondered if Rolling Hills can't do anything about it, if perhaps the township can write a letter to these homeowners and tell them to take down their trees. Is that possible?
That's possible.
Yep. On the roads that are dedicated, that's possible, but on the roads that are not dedicated. Am I mistaken, but we could only write the letter on the roads that are dedicated?
I would want to look at that. There's a provision in the second class township code that allows you to write and require property owners to take down trees that are a site hazard. I don't know whether that applies to undedicated roads or not.
So,
Well, how many roads are dedicated?
I don't have a count right now, but not all the roads have been dedicated to the township because we don't take them until the development on that road is complete.
But my point is there's the main road going in, was a Shoal Farm Road. It's the main road. So up to a point where the last house is on that road, that's probably dedicated.
It may be. I'd have
Maybe?
to
Oh,
look.
okay.
It may be. I believe Shoal Farm is, and I believe Erwinna Alleyway is. Doug, am I correct?
So
But
those are
they're
primarily where most of the homes are.
right.
Is that correct? I
Yeah,
don't
and
know. I'm
from what
asking.
I understand, they all are dedicated at this point.
Right,
Okay.
and then, and just to be clear, so we don't have any miscommunication, the trees would need to be a site hazard. I can't just, because somebody doesn't like them, we can't write the letter. I just want to be clear.
That's correct.
They have to be a danger.
This is on Erwinna Alleyway, which is dedicated,
Okay.
and it is a site hazard. And we've almost gotten to numerous accidents. We've almost hit people walking on the road. It's dangerous. And it's 11 Erwinna Alleyway and 5 Erwinna Alleyway.
So who would in our township, would it be Doug, the Public Works, or in concert with our chief? Would they look at that in terms of a hazard?
Yes.
So if they would look at that, then you could then send out notices to
Right,
the property homeowners.
But it should start with, Hankin. But
I'm
so
confused now.
Mr. Hankin should send the letter to the homeowners. They're only asking
Oh,
if he won't, then will we? But
Which he
it's
won't.
Mr.
We've asked him for
Hankins,
9
it's
years.
Yeah,
Mr.
9
It's
years
Mr.
is what
Hankins'
it says.
development.
So, sorry, then you said something.
Oh, for 9 years, we've been asking him to remove
Have you
to,
given him a letter of some sort to saying? take
oh,
that
We send numerous
I don't
emails,
know.
you know that, and
That's
so, you know, he doesn't respond.
So Steve, here's my concern, and I'm just gonna be upfront, even though it's probably not gonna be popular. But if the township starts enforcing the homeowners agreement, are we going to set a precedent that we're going to enforce the homeowners agreement?
I don't think you're enforcing the homeowners agreement. It's a question of the site.
Okay,
distance.
thank you.
And just, I guess, just as, the way that the homeowners association seems to be set up mirrors the rest of a normal township property based on that the property owner is responsible for the property.
Yeah.
Owner's property. Okay. So,
5 and 11, you said, right, Kelly?
Correct, yes.
okay, we will look into it.
Thank you.
All right, good. We have one more thing, Phil. You had mentioned the stipulated settlement agreement, that you have with the township, Hank and have with the township has expired for 3 years. Is there?
It hasn't expired. Still in full force in effect, but there was a provision of it that allowed the zoning that said that the area and site restrictions in the agreement expired after 25 years. And after that time, Hankin had to follow the then enacted zoning ordinance. So it's not that the agreement is unenforceable or expired. It's just that the provision dealing with zoning has expired.
So,
So
so when,
For clarity, I'm a little confused. I think I asked Terry this, and when you say zoning is expired, meaning that he had some special treatments on all of the lots, that was the stipulated agreement, is that correct? In other words, the setbacks and things of that nature?
It was impervious surface.
Just
Because,
impervious,
yeah,
that's all it was?
I mean, it's impervious surface. And because of the way that the stormwater system was designed. And you'll recall that we had
Yes.
long negotiation about that. I can't remember now whether the amendment has been signed or not, but I've got a bunch of agreements, unilateral declarations and that sort of thing, dealing with the stormwater management that I sent to John Van Luvenay, Hankin's lawyer, 2 years ago.
But just to be clear, Steve, because it only dealt with the impervious surface, not the setbacks of a lot line for building a home or anything like
Right.
that. Correct, okay.
All right,
All right,
good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh,
There goes our insurance.
it's the tape.
May I ask a question?
Up, if you're on Zoom, no. And you shouldn't be able to unmute yourself. Sorry. Currently, that's not the format that we're using. Anybody else in the audience here have a comment? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.